On now. The theme is the more you have, the worse it is. I mean, Katamari springs to mind. Um, okay. So this is the website. For those of you not playing along, I also, if you are watching this over on YouTube a couple of days later, there'll be a lot of ums and uhs and things like that. I apologise for that. I also apologise for the sound quality as well because it's not up to my usual standard, quote unquote standard, and that's because I don't have my lavalier microphone plugged in, so I'm using my webcam there. So there is 1 day, 23 hours and 58 minutes left. Right at 58, I've wasted 2 minutes already. Yikes. The jam itself ends in 2 days, 23 hours, 57 minutes. And then you got like 25 days to rate and play. And then the results are in 27 days. So towards the end of the year, we're going to get the result back here. So, all right. The more you have, the worse it is. Ay, 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 ay. I think I was gonna maybe broadcast this. I don't know if this is a great idea to broadcast me going. Let's sort of think about this. Okay, so let's go to the drawing cam. I have a drawing cam down here. This little guy over here. This used to be my old webcam. So the more you have, the worse it is. More you have, the worse. I can't. It is. Okay. So the more you have, the worse it is. Let me just bring that down there. Hopefully you can read my writing because I certainly can't. The more you have, the worse it is. Maybe the more sheep you have. More sheep. Well, let's not use the word more because that's going to be used everywhere. So sheep. So the more sheep you have, the worse it is. The more water you have, the worse it is. So maybe you gotta pump out water, kind of like Tapper. You guys remember that game? Sheep herd them. But that's AI, so that might be a non-goer. Because really, when you're thinking about a jam, you want to make it so it's like a prototype. And I know a lot of people spend a lot of time in these games, and unfortunately, as is always, I always find out about this far too late, and so yeah, I always end up like having to do this like um, a long time now. I also realised that when I'm writing this, you guys are seeing the back of my head, so apologise for that as well. Okay, so we get sheep, we get water. That's it. We get sheep and water. Maybe we could mix the two. Watery sheep. No, terrible idea. Sheep water. The more you have, the worse it is. Manure. If you're Biff Tannen, obviously he doesn't like manure. The more you have, the worse it is. I mean, it could be things that get piled on you, but then again, you've got that. That's like kind of Katamari. Katamari. Don't really want that. What about bullets? The more you have, the worse it is. I think I did a shooter the last time, and I think that was a bad idea. Maybe maybe the sheep game. Because what if you had what if you had like a pen, okay? So the pen was in there and you had little sheep around the pen. And what you have to do is you have to guide like your Farmer Giles. Oh, you can't. You guys can't see that. You have to guide Farmer Giles in there. You have to guide Farmer Giles, and then you got to put them in the. They got to put them all in the pen in there, but they're kind of bouncing around and doing their own thing, and not really paying much attention to you. And you have to kind of guide them in there. And meanwhile, there's like a truck is offloading them, and that's more sheep are coming in there, and then the you know the more sheep that come in, the more difficult it becomes to get them into there. But then you got to think about resources. So um, what are the things that could stop you from doing that? Like this is a terrible thing. The more you have, the worse it is. Um, so if you have hmm, the more you have, the worse it is. Hmm. So okay, so maybe you the more power ups you have. Well, that's a bad idea. I mean, Mega Man was all about power ups, wasn't it? So the more sheep that come in, so we need something that's negative in there. Something that we need something that's positive, and we need something that's negative. So we need positive, and we need a negative thing as well. So we have positive, we have negative thing. So negative thing is lots of sheep. Uh, Lots of sheep. Sheep. I quite like the idea of sheep because I think I might be able to draw sheep. Um, and also they're kind of it's just kind of meh meh noises. So that's and I can do Farmer Giles as well. Ooh, our lad, something like that. Maybe maybe you have what if Farmer Giles had a tractor beam? Um, Maybe just a tractor. Um, yeah, what if you had a tractor beam? Okay, tractor beam. Then what you want to do is when you release them, that fires off. But see, there's got to be something negative. Otherwise, it's a repetitive task of you just picking up sheep and then throwing them in a pen. You're not really doing anything. Um, I kind of like the sheep idea because I think I can draw sheep. Um, and I could probably draw a farmer, and then the rest is just grass. So I kind of like that. That's the kind of laziness in me. Um, we're now down to 10 minutes. Well, we lost 10 minutes of me discussing this. This is the hardest part, by the way. If you've never done a game jam, especially if you're me, is coming up with a game idea. Okay. Well, okay. Let's just think about the sheep thing. The more you have, the worse it is. Okay, you gotta have a time. There's gotta be a time limit. Time limit. And right. Okay. What if you put them in? You put them in here, right? So maybe there's something you put in here, and then there's like a pipe that goes around here, and then there's a sort of hopper here, and the hopper's got wool in it. Okay, so the truck comes in here, you pick up the things, you pick up the sheep, sorry. The truck comes in, drops off the sheep here. You then wrangle the sheep into here. There's a pipe that goes maybe around this way. Yeah, maybe around this way. So the pipe goes around this way, and then into this sort of hopper here, and then there's another like hopper here where you put the wool in there, and if you let the wool build up, then the sheep know what's happening, and then they get more excited, and it makes it difficult for them to pick it up. I don't know, I'm spitballing here, people. But I quite like that idea. So maybe we need to get some, so we need a truck, which should be easy to do. And okay, I think that's okay. So we've got a truck. So we've got a truck, the farmer, we get sheep, we put them into the shearer. So this is the shear-o-matic. So the shear-o-matic, it then takes the wool, it takes the sheep, and we'll forget about what actually happens to the sheep, but let's assume that they don't become mutton. And the wool comes out here, and then you got to put the wool into the jumper maker over there. So that gives you two things you need to do. You need to corral the sheep, and then you need to get the wool from the hopper, from this hopper here into here. Now maybe we should make this like a triangle, so there's the things there, because this is inconsequential there. And we've got like a score and a timer and stuff over here. And yeah, I don't really know if it kind of keeps in with the theme, but I kind of like the idea of the game. So the more you have, the worse it is. So the more sheep you have, the worse it is to concentrate. I don't know. All right, I think that's. I think we can do that. I think that's quite good. Okay. Right. What I'm going to do though is I am going to get out my joystick, because I've got a funny feeling that this is going to be more of a joystick game than anything else. So I'm going to put my joystick out here. We'll do that in just a sec. So what do we need for this game? Let's write down a few bits and pieces that we actually need for this game. And for that we will use Sublime Text 3, because that's a good thing to do there. And okay, so I want, what is unregistered? I did pay for this. Okay, so we want game screen, main menu, and game over. Alright, okay, so main menu is going to be just to play the game, options, volume for music. Alright, so the options, music, volume, effects, volume, and quit. And that's going to be about, quit's going to be here. Let's do that. And then the game screen itself, game over is just going to be how long you lasted, how much wool you produced, and oh, maybe we could introduce foxes. Maybe just like a stray fox as well. How many sheep lost to foxes? Something like that. Foxes is good because, you know, maybe we can do like a repel fox thing. Maybe you'd lose a sheep if you did it wrong, that kind of thing. We'll see how that plays out. So the game screen is going to be Farmer Giles, and he has a tractor beam. Well, it's more like Freeman's gravity gun. So it's got a repel. It's got to attract and repel. And then we have sheep dropped off by the truck must be dumped one at a time into the Sheer-O-Matic. I think Sheer-O-Matic is actually from a Wallace and Gromit cartoon. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure it is. Must be dumped one at a time into Sheer-O-Matic. And then wool produced each time a sheep is sheared, and drop off in the sweater maker, whatever we call that. Foxes. Repel foxes. Don't let them attack the sheep. Repel foxes, don't let them attack the sheep. And yeah, I think that's about it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, I am going to take a break just now. Sorry, I know I've just started, but I will take a break and I will be back in a sec. I actually probably need to turn the stream off for a sec. So give me a wee minute. Concern, so I'm going to create a new project and it's going to be 2D just to make things easy, and I'm going to call this Ludum Dare December 1st, because for lack of a better word, and make sure that that is not in there, it is inside YouTube repository, Unity, and I'm going to create a new folder, and this is going to be called 40, I think it's 40. Ludum Dare 40. There you go. I did the last one as well. Cool. Okay, so select that. So let's call it Ludum Dare 40 then. And make sure it's in there. And then create project. And we are good to go. Okay. Oh, we're not, but you know, we'll get there. Alright, and I have my webcam plugged in there. And I've got my phone plugged in here. I probably need that at some point. I'm on 41% there, so I need that as well. Okay, what are we doing? Alright, so we need 3 screens. So game screen, main menu, and game over. Okay, so let's create 3 screens. Now I can't use anything that hasn't been created before, although I think you can probably get away with fonts. All the art will be created by me, but I think you can get away with fonts. Maybe we should read the rules. What are the rules? Let's do a wee search for LB Jam rules. Ludum Dare rules. Ludum Dare. The Jam. Nope, the Compo. The Compo is classic Ludum Dare. Another way to think is Ludum Dare hard mode. Compo games are entirely from scratch, one person, just 48 hours. Ultimate test of your game creation skills. You must work alone. Your game, all content, art, music, sound, etc. must be created in 48 hours. Must include that. Personal Jam. The Jam is 72 hours. Competition is that. Fonts are allowed. Special exemptions. Okay, so fonts are allowed. Texture mask brushes, drum loops, sampled instruments, similar assets are available only if they're used to create derivative work. Okay, content generators are allowed. Okay, we'll be using this later on. So fonts are allowed. Okay, cool. So we need to bring up fonts and some cool font to do that in later on. Alright, so we need, what do we need? We need main menu. So I'm going to create a very, very basic main menu. Do we need to create a main menu? Let's create the folder structure. So scenes, art, and script. And we'll further divide that into UI and gameplay. And we'll do the same thing for here. UI and gameplay and look at that scenes. Can't believe it did that. I want to move that to there and that to there. Okay, so this is going to be our main menu. Main menu, which contains nothing, and then we're going to have our game itself, and then we are going to have a game over. And that's pretty much all that we're going to do there. And then for this, we're going to have dropped off by the truck, must be dumped one at a time into the sheet-o-matic. So really we should probably have Farmer Giles as a character just now. So let's fire up Photoshop. And we can make everything, let's make everything 16 by 16, just for, yeah, let's make everything 16 by 16. So create new, and 16 by 16 pixels. That's right, and like that. And Farmer Giles, what does Farmer Giles look like? Well, he could just be a head. I mean, it doesn't need to be. Farmer Giles of Ham was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. And see, who said that Twitch wasn't, informative? Farmer Giles, the Farmer Giles that I remember. Oh dear, maybe I shouldn't have googled that. Is that kind of character? This chap here, with his strange leaks, so this kind of ooh-ah type character. But I guess he's kind of this guy here as well. So maybe we can have him just as like a sort of faceless kind of character, I guess. So we'll make him kind of a little bit fat in the face, so to speak. And we'll make him kind of pinky, that kind of thing. And then we'll give him a bit of a red nose. A little bit red on nose. And give him kind of kind of bulbous nose, like that kind of thing, and then his hat will be a sort of greeny, colory type thing. It's not going to be the this is, if you're looking for art, you've come to the wrong place, I'm afraid. I can't do art to save myself, and it's going to be fairly obvious that I can't do art. And oh, that's terrible. Yeah, see what I mean? And then what we'll do is we'll give it a mask as well around here. Get off my line. I'm hoping the sheep will be better, and this is only really a placeholder. And if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. It's a cracker as well. Only used by 4 people. There you go, there's Farmer Giles. It's a bit rough and ready, and I'm gonna show Explorer, gameplay, and where are we? Let's just save this off straight to here. So we'll call this Giles, and do that there. It takes a little bit more processing, I think, to do as this, but it's good enough. So pixels per unit. So 1 unit is going to be 16 pixels. It's going to be tight. It's going to be centered, and it's going to be point. And let's apply that there. So our Giles character is going to look like that. Let me move him over there. So yeah, it's not the greatest, but like I said, he's only placeholder, so it doesn't really matter. Now we need to get him to move. So we want him. I think what we'll do is we'll concentrate on Giles just now. So we want him to be able to move. We also want him to basically. Okay, so I want the tractor beam to be pointed someplace. That maybe we use the 2 thumbsticks. Yeah, maybe we just use the 2 thumbsticks. Okay, let's get Farmer Giles moving anyway. So we have Giles here, and again just placeholder. And I'm going to create a script here, and I'm going to call that Giles. And Giles is going to do all the movement for us. So again, I'm going to set up things here. So I have float speed equals 10, so 10 units per second. Actually, it's probably near 16 units per second because that's the size of them. 16 units per second, and then we have void update, and the update is float x equals input.get axis horizontal, and then we're going to multiply that by time.delta time times speed. Float y equals input.get axis vertical, and we multiply that by time.delta time times speed. We're just going to make this as simple as possible for the movement, and if we want to change it later on, we're not going to, then we can. And then I want to say transform.position plus equals new vector 3, that's going to be x, 0, y. Because we're moving on the x, y, and z is, if I remember rightly, and I don't, then that's going to be z, and that's going to be 0 there. Okay. So that's Giles, and we do Giles. Okay. Then he's a little bit too fast. We can also make the screen a little bit smaller as well. I think the screen's probably just a little bit too much. He's got a bit of momentum about him as well, which is not too bad. So yeah, he's okay. The fun bit will be when we do the sheep, because we're going to have to come up with something that's just basically sheep wandering around everywhere. Sheep will be 32 by 32, I think. So let's make the sheep just now. So 32 by 32 by 2, 32, create, and and the sheep will have little black legs. So we'll put little black legs here. So that's that one there. That one there. That one there. And that one there. There. And then we'll have something like that. Yeah, okay, and then we'll fill that in there. Then we're going to do little circles. So we'll use this here, the ellipsis tool. So we'll just add little circles all over the place. Because they're little clouds. That's really what sheep are. That looks more like a camel than a sheep, but we'll hopefully fix that. And then we've got the kind of head over here as well. Like so, kind of like that. Well, it's the worst looking sheep ever, but never mind. And then what I want to do is I want to grab all of that, and I want to say that I want to go from here to about here, like that, and then I want to use the gradient tool. Something like that. And now it looks more like a sheep with very, very tall legs. We can actually change that. That's easily done. You can just do not that far. We bring the down to there, and then we can add a head here. So a sheep's head kind of looks a bit like that ish. And then the two eyes are just going to look like that. That looks like a sheep, you know, close approximation. Sheep. So I got a sheep there, and we'll bring in a sheep. So where's the sheep? Let's fix up the sheep. So he's a sprite. Oh yeah, that's why. So 16, apply. So there's a sheep, and then we want to make that point. So there you go. It's more of a sheep now. It looks more like a caterpillar disguised as music notes, but sure, it'll work. We can maybe bring that down to be 32 and then apply, and then the sheep's roughly the same size as Farmer Giles. That might work. That might work. And then what we want to do is we want to be able to move the sheep around the screen in a kind of random direction. So I don't want them bouncing into things, or at least I don't want them bouncing into anything other than themselves. That's not true. Maybe I just add them as a rigid body and I keep them going in a kind of perpetual motion. Maybe that's an idea. Or I just have them as coded, so they do look like a random pattern. Let's do the random pattern thing. Alright. So let's go to here, we'll do create, and then we'll do another script, and we'll call it sheep. These are the best names ever. Sheep. Giles. Okay. So for our start, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a random direction. So we're going to say vector3 dot random. Can we do random? No, we'll do random dot vector inside unit circle. There we go. Inside unit circle, which is good enough. Inside unit circle times, and then we'll do public, and then we want to do float speed equals, and we'll make that 8 just now, times speed, that's our vector, speed vec equals that, and we actually want that to be this there, and then our update. We want to say transform.position plus equals speed vec times time dot delta times time dot delta time. I cannot type. It's a problem I've got. I used to not be able to write, and then now apparently I can't type. Yep, that's good enough. And we do that, and get rid of that. And now our sheep will get a sheep script. And so he should now wander off in a direction. And there he goes, in a random direction. And when we start the game again, he goes in another random direction. Very fast that way. Okay, now we want to keep him inside the pen. So what we can do is, this is the size of the pen. Let's call this create empty. You want to keep this inside. You want to keep them inside, or you want to keep them outside? Let's keep them inside, and let's hope that makes it easier for us. So, box collider 2D. Okay, and edge radius. What? It's crazy. That's quite nice. Let's just make it 0 though. Size along the X is going to be about there-ish, and then size along the Y is going to be about there-ish. Okay, so that's good enough. And I think we can say public, and this is going to be box collider 2D. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. We can just say override on trigger exit 2D. There we go. So we can have this as a trigger. So we'll call this a trigger, which means that one of these guys has to have a rigid body. So we're going to put a rigid body on this guy here. And we're not going to use gravity. And is he kinematic? No, I think he's okay. We don't need anything else there. I think we can just leave it at that. Have I seem to have paused. Oh no, it's just I always look like that. I was looking at the stream there, and I'm all kind of hunched over. Okay, so when you leave, I want to multiply the vector that we left. Now this is going to just, I want to rotate the, I want to get, so I want to say transform dot position minus equals speed vec times time dot delta time, and it's going to be, yeah, that's fine. And then I want to say speed vec times equals -1. I want to flip it round the opposite direction, just for fun. Okay, so now hopefully this guy will just bounce around the pen. I'm hoping. No, that didn't work. He's off. Object. This one here. This trigger. Here's my cursor. On trigger exit 2D, collider 2D. Did I put a rigid body on it? Remove component, add component rigid body 2D. Okay. And then I don't want that to be there. Freeze rotation on Z. Dynamic, kinematic, static. Don't want it to be kinematic. Maybe I want it to be kinematic. If I make it kinematic, I bet it doesn't work with triggers. Yeah. Oh, nothing's ever easy. Oh dear, that was awful. Gravity scale. Let's make that 0. Is this even hitting? I wager not. Nope. Is it entering? Here's a good one. Trigger enter 2D. Let's see if it hits that. So this is sheep. And that's 2D. So it should trigger as soon as the game starts. No. This trigger. What am I missing here? Trigger enter. Collider. That's what I'm missing. I'm missing a collider. For everyone who's shouting at me, I apologize. Box collider 2D. Or do we want a circle collider? Let's make it a circle collider. Because he's a sheep. And sheep are fluffy. There we go. There. So he's bouncing. It's a terrible bounce, but you get the idea. He's in motion. So what we want him to do is we actually want him to rotate that way, and my math is really bad. So this is the problem of doing things yourself. Speed vec times -1, so that gets you in the opposite direction, and then you want to rotate it the angle of incidence. Okay, let's see if we get that. Nope. No, of course not. So we're gonna have to figure out where we hit, and then we're gonna have to figure out the angle there, which means we're gonna have to go back over to this point here. So I'm not gonna bother too much about that. But what we want to do is we want to spawn the objects over here. We want to spawn the sheep from over here. So our sheep, this is going to be our pen. Our sheep, and we're going to create a folder here called prefabs. And we're going to create a sheep prefab. And we're going to get rid of that prefab there. And then I'm going to create a truck, which is just going to be a basic truck. So this is going to be 64 by 64. 64. And it's going to be the back of the truck. So I need a wheel like that. That's good enough. And I need to make this a small wheel. There you go. Oops. And then again, I'm not going to go too crazy with these things. I'm not really that bothered about this. It's just placeholder graphics just now. And that's going to be there. And we'll make this kind of red color. And we'll put that under there. And there you go, there's the truck. Now really we don't want Giles to be that. We actually want, so I'm going to create an empty game object and I'm going to call this Giles, and then this is going to be Giles sprite, and Giles is going to live at 0, 0, 0, and Giles sprite is going to live there. So I want to create Giles underneath there so that we're moving Giles, but we're moving whatever we want Giles to be. So we have our Giles sprite there, so I'm going to drag him into prefabs as well. And that's about it. Actually, we can get rid of, I want to remove that component there, and I want to add Giles to there, and then that's our Giles. So now Giles just runs the way that Giles always runs. So he runs there, runs there, runs there. And maybe we want to keep Giles inside there as well. So let's do a on trigger exit 2D, and over that, over that. I'm going to say, I'm going to store this value here. So I'm going to say equals equals last known good. So last known good is 0, and then last known good is position. And so what does this mean? It means that if it collides against there, then it's going to return you back to the place that you came from. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't even know if I'm explaining it very well. Kind of whispering now. Okay. Yeah, it didn't work. Oh, it didn't work because, first of all, I don't have a collider on. So I need a collider. So need a circle collider 2D, and I also need rigid body 2D on there as well. And I'm going to make them, let's make them kinematic and see what happens. I want to do that there, and yeah, I don't think you can make them kinematic. I don't think I like that. Apply. Yeah, I get stuck down there, that's the problem. Also, gravity's pulling them down. So we need to grab that there. Well, he needs to have that anyway. The collider and things like that. Yeah, it's not working. There's last known good. And yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. I'll leave that just now. Because I want to have a tractor beam anyway. And the main camera itself, that's going to be much further out. I'm going to say 10. So that's probably about the right size that I want. It's about the right speed as well. So the truck's going to be over here, and then you're going to have like a kind of rappelly type thing, and then your sheep are going to come out and they're going to bounce everywhere. Put things up there, come on down there. Okay. Alright, okay. And the pen is obviously going to be much bigger than that, so that's going to be 20, and that's going to be 35, no, 40, no, 35, 36, 7, 35, 5.4, 5.5, there you go. So that's the edge of the screen. So we maybe want to pull it in a little bit more. And we still need to figure out how we're going to stop Giles from moving there. But yeah, that's okay. So Giles needs a gun of some kind, and needs a kind of a beam as well. Okay. Right, let's go back to the list here and let's get rid of that. So Farmer Giles, kind of done. Oh, I haven't done foxes yet. Don't let them attack the sheep. So we probably need a state machine for the sheep as well. So let's maybe just concentrate on the sheep just now. So speed vector is that. Inside unit circle is that. Let's maybe not make it that one. Make it 4. And let's do float update dir update direction time equals random dot value times 5. So in 5-ish seconds, actually let's make it 5 plus random times 5. And the reason I want to do that is because in 5 to 10 seconds we choose a new random speed. So we'll have a timer in here which will be start coroutine, and the coroutine will be random direction, and numerator random direction. Load the time, new, wait for seconds, and then it's going to be update direction time. Then it's going to be that, and then this is going to be while running. Actually, this is just be while true equals that. Feedback equals that. Maybe we want to change the update time as well to another value, and in that way it's truly random. Okay, so if we grab some sheep, where's the project? So if we grab the sheep and place some sheep somewhat around the board like this. Okay, that's fine. So we can do that. That's fine. That'll let us do that. Come on, recompile. Recompile your errors away. I changed it. It's changed. Get rid of your errors. So now these sheep should bounce around. Or Unity will crash. No. I don't change. I don't know what else I can change. Full temp. Let's see if it recompiled. Now it's recompiled. Why? Why Unity? Let's get that template value. Okay, so now we should be bouncing around. There we go. Okay, I kind of like the way they kind of bump into each other. Don't like the way they go off screen. But that's easy fix because what I can do is I can bring the pen in. So I can bring that into being 30. Maybe that 30, but 32. And then I can bring that into being 18. And then that's a nicer sort of looking pen, and then it looks as if they're sort of staying inside the limits of the screen. Okay. Yeah, he needs to slow down as well because that's the ludicrous speed that he's doing. Is he getting faster? Seems like he's getting faster. Giles. Let's make that 8. Let's make him half as fast as he was. See if that's any better. Right. Yeah. And you know what? It's okay now that the sheep are sort of they're kind of randomly bouncing around. They don't feel so bad. Like that one's just a change there. Okay. Okay. I can live with that. What we might want to do though is we might want to say that this is a public float sweep. And yeah, that's good there. And then what we need to do is we need to have a sheep factory. So let's go to here and we'll drag and drop the truck into there. And the truck is, let's make it 8 pixels by unit. And point and filter apply. Oh, it's a big truck. Let's make it 16. Okay, so we'll put that truck kind of there. And then I'm going to add a child object. Right, empty. And sometimes you don't want that to be there. Okay, and then I want to put that there. And okay, so that's our child object that's going to be there, and that's going to be sheep spawn point. So our sheep are going to spawn from there, and that's going to be our truck. And of course, our truck is a prefab. So I'm going to add truck to our prefab. This there, and we're going to have a sheep factory. sheep factory is going to go on sheep spawn point. Reload. Do you guys ever get the feeling that Unity is going to just crash on you at some point? There's a kind of strange glitchy thing up there. It just looks like it's about to fail. Okay. Right. What do we want to do here? I want to say public object sheep prefab public float min speed. Let's make that 2. And then the maximum speed, and then speed random equals 4, which means we can change this. And then public float spawn time equals, let's spawn a sheep every 2 seconds. And luckily we don't really need anything else other than our start method here. So I'm going to say while true, so while this game is going, we want to spawn a sheep and then wait. So do var sheep clone, let's call it Dolly because that was the clone sheep, equals instantiate. And then sheep prefab dot transform dot position equals transform dot position because that's going to be the spawn point. And then I want to say var dolly, yeah, it's going to be sheep, isn't it? Sheep equals dolly dot get sheep to get component sheep, and then we'll say sheep dot speed equals, and it's the minimum speed plus random value times speed random, and that's it. And then we want to do yield return new wait for seconds spawn time. Okay. And so I've got a truck there. That's that there. Apply. Let's get rid of all these sheep here. Let's get rid of that sheep as well. So we've got Giles pen. We've got the spawn point, which is a sheep factory. Yep. And the sheep factory takes in sheep normally. Takes in a sheep, and minimum speed is there. And so there'll be a sheep spawned every 2. Okay, that's inside there. That's good. There'll be a sheep spawned every 2 seconds. So yeah, this is going to be a problem for Farmer Giles. Lots of sheep, and you can move around the sheep and so forth. And yeah, so you can see there's a lot of problems here. Let me just snapshot that. Let's do it widescreen. Okay, do that, and I can plug my joystick in. Because we're needing that in just a sec. Setting up the device. There you go, straight away. So that's me using my joystick there. Okay, that's a lot of sheep. What are we at stats wise? We are at 92 frames per second, and I don't know how many sheep we've got. We should probably keep track of the sheep. Actually, that's a good idea. We should probably keep track of sheep that we clone, which means we should probably set up an event as well. And then we know how many sheep we have cloned. Actually, maybe we don't. Maybe we just need to maintain that in there. Let's maintain that. Okay. So I want to say int sheep count equals 0, and then I'm going to have a public int sheep count get return sheep count. And sheep count plus. So I just want to add that to there, and so when we do look at debug screen, so I'm going to create another, let's create a canvas. Where is my canvas? Create 2D UI, and I'm going to create a text image. It's good, and this is going to be my debug canvas. Debug canvas. Okay, so my debug canvas. I'm going to have a whole bunch of things up here. I'm not a fan of Arial, so I'm going to grab a font here. Throw this over here. And my favorite font is Roboto. You've probably seen it before because I use it quite a lot. So I'm going to call fonts, and I'm going to drag that into here, fonts. Okay, so there's all my Roboto fonts, and so my text here is going to be Roboto condensed, which is a nice font, and I'm going to make that, well, the background color actually of here is going to be a kind of greeny color, so that's a kind of good color there. And then debug text, just because it's debug text, we should probably make that like a kind of yellow color. That there, and we'll make that size, and then that there. And then for here, we're going to have this as sheep count, and then duplicate that, and then put that there, and put the number there, and then we want to have that value there. So really, actually, I'm going to create a script that does that. So in my UI, I have a UI down there. I'm going to create another folder here called debug. And in my debug script, I'm going to create property to string. Okay. And the property to string node is going to take a target object and the property name and a format. So it's going to say public string output format equals, and then it's going to be property value 0. So just going to be that, and then I'm going to say public string property name equals my property, and this is going to require component called text. So I use a text box. Wide awake, and I'm going to say text equals get component text, and then I'm going to do void update. Let's do enumerator public float update update rate equals, and then we'll do this once every 2 seconds. Start. So the first thing we need to do is we also need a public game object target object. We need the component though, that's the problem. So how do we get the component from there? We could make this a base class. Or what we could do is we could do public script, call it component name. So component name tooltip the name of the component that owns the property. The name of the property. And I'm going to say var component type equals type dot get type. It's going to be type, so I need system get type, and it's going to be component name. If component type equals null, destroy this. Yield break. So if we can't find the component, let's get out of here. And then we also need the property information as well. So prop info equals component type dot get property, and then it's the name of the property, so that'd be property name. And then we need the binding flags dot instance, and we also need public, because it's going to need to be a public property. If prop info equals null, destroy this, yield return, not yield break. Okay, so get the component type, get the property of the component type, and now that we have that, we can do while true, and then we do text.text equals string.format. Actually, it's going to be var prop value equals, and then this is where we get this value from here. So we do prop info dot get value, and then it's going to be the object, which is the target object, and then null. If prop value var stringify equals prop value equals null, we'll make it null. Otherwise, we'll say prop value toString. And we'll do format, and then it's going to be output format, comma, stringify. And then we're going to wait. So we're going to yield return new wait for seconds, update rate. And that's how we bind properties. Okay, and yep, and here. So now we don't need this other count here. We can just do property toString, and then property value is fine, but we want to call that sheep count, and then the property name is sheep count, and the component name is sheep factory, and the target object is going to be this one here, that one there. So now when we run this, oh yeah, need to get that there, that's why. So we also need to get the component from there, so we need to do var component equals target object dot get component, and then we can specify the type. Oops. Specify the type, so the component type. So if component equals null, destroy this, yield, and so that gets us that there. And then we want to use component instead, so we want to use component in there instead of the target object, because the target object is not the actual object that we're interested in. So what all of that means, we've been following along, and then my rambling count there, is that we now have sheep count 0, so now we have 1, 2, 3, and you see that now that we're getting this this up here, so that we have stats as well. So it's a little bit behind there, but that's because of the refresh rate. We can make the refresh rate more, but we pay for it a little bit for frames per second as well, because we're doing some extra processing. But yeah, I think that's yeah, I think that's good. So yeah, so now we can see how many sheep we have quite easily, and we can use this elsewhere as well, so we can let you know how many sheep we've gathered up and that kind of stuff. So all right. So the sheep, we also need to have a public bull tractor held in tractor beam. So if if they're being held in a tractor beam, then we don't want them to move. So the update is going to be null and void. So held in tractor beam return. And what else do we want to do? Yeah, this is okay. We can keep this. We can keep this going the random direction because that's not going to be in there. Actually, maybe we don't want that. Maybe we want gameplay. We want class, and then we want one behavior. We don't want one behavior, but we want sheep state. Which is that, and then we want enum. So the sheep state is moving around. Tractor held in tractor beam, and then the other state is entering shear-o-matic. So that's the states that sheep can be in. They can be either moving around, it can be held in tractor beam, shear-o-matic. Okay, so now this is going to be sheep state. Sheep state. So if sheep state is not equal to moving around, return. So we only want to move around. And the default value for sheep state is moving around. So that's their default value. And what we could do is we could have, we're not going to do it later on, but what you could do is you could have it so that they load off the truck and then they move around randomly. Maybe we'll get to that as a polish item, but we'll see how we go. We really should do that though, because it's a bit crap the fact that they keep going out there. Nudge these sheep along, which is kind of cool. Okay. So I want a tractor beam now. I think not entirely sure what I want to do with the tractor beam here. Should I? Yeah, I don't want to do the tractor beam. Let's go back to here. Well, okay, we've done that. I think we can mark that off as being done, functionally, has been done. So we need to figure out this tractor beam somehow. Yeah. Here. What? Okay, hear me out. What if what if instead of this is a bit sick. What if instead of picking up them by tractor beam, it was like a kind of Robotron 2084 where you basically fired off the um, you fired off shears at them, and they became naked, and they dropped wool, which you then had to pick up. And maybe you can only pick up 10 at a time. And they gotta be zombie sheep or something, haven't they? Because you can't let them touch you. We've got what, 50 sheep just now on screen, and we're at 95 frames per second. I mean, it's not exactly the most intense thing in here. So maybe you've got to have like a I'm just worried about the gravity beam, about how you lock on things, whereas if you've got you just have two thumbsticks, then you're really just rotating around that value and then firing, which I kind of like, because it's just a vector, and that kind of works. Let me just think. Okay, let's have 8 by 8. It's going to be a kind of yellowy color. And that is going to be a darkish color. I think I did a shooting game the last time, and palette. I don't know. I think I've done the shooting game thing. I don't want to be that guy that always does a shooting game. Yeah. So if you grabbed okay, what if what if going to be 64, and it's going to be 16 the width, and I don't want to fill, and I want a stroke, and something like that, and then I want to have a line. That's terrible. Gravity. Gravity gun's awful. So there's the gravity gun there, and I want to create an empty object there. This is going to be gravity gun pivot. Then my gravity gun here. It's going to be 16. Point no filter, apply, and it's going to be that. Alright. And then the y coordinate is going to be 2. And then when I rotate the pivot, on the Z, you know what, I should probably rotate it on the Z there like that. That gives me that angle there. Okay. So nice cheat, I think. From joystick. I feel like I've done this before, but never mind. Okay, let me just try this. Alright, so for Giles, I also want a gravity gun script. Gravity gun. And the gravity gun script is going to go on Giles. And I'm going to apply that, and the gravity gun is going to have a public. Actually, just going to transform. Yeah, see, it stopped working. And here's going to happen. Transform pivot. Yep, can't find gravity gun. Yeah, see, it's not there. This always happens. It just eventually gets out of sync, and you have to kill things, restart it, and then it works. See, there it is. Okay. So our input, where are we? Input, axes, horizontal, vertical, and we want mouse X and Y. As mouse X and Y. No, not that. We need 20. So this is going to be, for lack of a better word, mouse look X, and this is going to be mouse look Y. And there is no buttons. It is, let me get this right. So the Xbox controller for Unity is, that's the 4th axis and the 5th axis. Okay, so this is the 4th axis, and this is the 5th axis, and this is the joystick axis, and this is the joystick axis. I don't want that, I don't want that, and that is dead, and then 3 and 3. Dead, 3, 3, 3, 3, sorry, 3, 3, snap. Okay, I think that's everything. Okay, so mouse look X. Float X equals input dot get axis and Y. X equals plus X, this Y equals plus Y. Right. And we'll output this out. Yep. I don't want to make that lowercase there, but it should be uppercase. So that's 1 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. Okay. And what do we want? We want the answer. What do we want? Oh. I can't believe that. So transform Euler angles equals all of that. Okay, let's try that. So we need to fix the dead space there. So that's going to be pivot dot Euler angles equals, and then this is going to be our y and our x. And pass that in there. Okay. Well, it's twisting it. It's not doing it in the right place, but it's twisting it. So instead of the y being in there, what I want that to do is this needs to go around to z. Well, I mean, it looks a bit like a Dalek, but other than that, again, this is only kind of placeholder stuff, but yeah. What if I flip that? Well, let's try this first of all. I think these are backwards. Well, maybe X and Y. Transform. Should get you pretty close. Nope, didn't get me anywhere near. Oh, there you go. Alright, I need to get rid of that negative. I think that should be us. No. It's kind of the exact opposite to where I want it to be. At this point, I'm just guessing. I don't really know the math that well. I mean, it's. I think the problem is that the y is the wrong way around here. Oops, that should be negative that. Which probably means that I need to re-negative the other one, because the y should be up. it's not that, then it's going to be minus yellow. That's it. Okay, and then so that's a little bit too it's too snappy. So what I can do is can lerp between the two. So Euler angles is that. So we can say var next angles is that, and then we can say that equals vector 3 dot lerp, and then it's going to be the current angle, so that's pivot dot Euler angles, next angles, and then it's going to be time dot delta time times speed. Always got to have a speed there, so we need to do float speed equals, we'll just arbitrarily make it 10. Just make that 10 just to see what happens. Move this onto different lines so that we can see them. They're all there. And okay, get rid of these ones up here. Make the script's a little bit leaner. And now it should be a little bit less snappy. I think the problem is there's too many ways to get to it. So I think we'll just make that as next angles. Just cut our losses. Okay, and I only want to show this if and x 360 x 360 where are we? Trigger is the 6th axis. So if whatever the 6th axis is, project settings input. Fire 1 is that, key your mouse button, left control, I mean fire 1 for me is not fire 1, it's going to be just fire, and it is a joystick axis, and the joystick axis is 6th axis. 6th axis, and 3, 3. Alt positive button is mouse 0. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Sure. Okay. And I'm going to say pivot dot game object dot set active output.get axis fire is greater than fire value. And that is going to be private static float that, which means it's not going to show until it's active. I want to make this order 2, just because I want it to be in front of that guy there. So he's not active until you hold down some kind of axis. Oh, that's not the right button. What is that? That's not the 6th axis. I've been lied to. Triggers a 6th axis. Did I choose 6th axis? I'm sure it is. 6th axis. Joystick. Setup. No. Trigger 6th axis. Technical goal. No, it's not the one. 3rd axis is triggers. What? 3rd axis is triggers. That doesn't make any sense. Triggers. Windows 3. Oh, okay. Left trigger is represented by the range there. And the right trigger 0 to 1. Okay, well, that's perfect then. So it's 3. I just can't read instructions, that's all. So okay, this time I can read instructions, but the left trigger is represented by the range -1 to 0, while the right trigger is represented by the range 0 to 1. That's clearly not right, because I have that there. So I'm going to say less than the minimum. There you go. Alright, there you go. So I can put the fire on there. Awesome. I don't think the way it defaults to there though. And then as soon as you get in the tractor beam, they're picked up and you can go and let go. And as soon as you let go, they fly off in that direction. I think that's safe to say. And so the tractor beam can only have one at a time. Okay. I think it's quite hard after all. Alright, so I want a game controller as well. So create empty, and then I want the level. Let's call this level controller. And move that up to here. Move that into 0. And I'm going to create another one here, create empty, and this is going to be called. I saw this in another Ludum Dare, I think, and I thought it was a great idea, and I'm going to steal it. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but it came up with this brilliant idea of putting, basically, you put that there so you can separate. It's like a separator, like you would have in a menu. So, like here, you've got separation there. Oh, that was quite cool. Okay. I'm going to knock this in the head in the next couple of minutes and then go to bed because I've actually been up quite a long time. So yeah. But I think I'm okay so far. I think that's quite a quite good so far. So I need to pick those up there. So maybe what we can do is let's have Giles gravity gun pivot. Let's have another create empty, and let's move that up there to the Y. 1.5. Yeah, there you go. There's 1.5, and we're going to add a collider 2D. Circle collider 2D. That's good enough. That's about the right size. And what happens is when you hit that, that's when we're going to be able to like pick up the sheep. Okay. So what I'm going to do is for each sheep. So here's our sheep down here in our prefabs. I'm going to drag this onto the scene just now. Oh, that's not a sheep. That's the sheep. So I'm going to drag that onto there, and I am going to tag it as something else. I'm going to add a tag, and I'm going to call it sheep. My genius knows no bounds. And so I'm going to choose sheep, and I'm going to click on apply, and I'm going to load that. So now this is going to be gravity pickup. And it's going to be slightly wider than this, but let's, I mean, we can make it a little bit bigger, we can make it 1. But it's going to move to that position. That's what it's going to do. It's going to transform to that position. So I'm going to parent it to that object. I'm going to parent the sheep to the object, then I'm going to transform it into that position there. And then when we let go, we're going to fire off the. Actually, maybe we have to dump it in there, and we can fire it off otherwise. Maybe that's a good idea. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. We will actually come back to that because there's actually a mechanic waiting for there. Okay, let's see if we can get this done in the next half an hour. Then I really need to go to bed. Alright, so if the sheep hits that, so that's our gravity gun. Did we do everything in here? No, let's not. Let's create another one called create, and then this one is going to be called tractor beam. And our tractor beam is the thing that's going to handle these things. So there's our gravity pickup. Our gravity pickup is a trigger, and tractor beam is going to be added to there. Then I'm going to reload us solution. So track beam is mono behavior, and we don't need any of that. But what we want to say is carrying equals false. On trigger enter 2D if collision dot tag dot actually do tag compare tag is this game object tagged with tag? Oh yeah, okay, do private dot compare tag and then it's going to be sheep. Actually, if it's not that, return. Otherwise, what we want to do is capture sheep. Collision dot game object dot get component sheep, because we want to grab the sheep from that game object, and I want to do that, and I want to say what I want to do, start coroutine capture sheep. Capture sheep. And let's see, it is carrying equals true. So if it's that, and if it's is carrying, actually we can just change that to carrying. So if carrying return, because we don't want to carry any more than one sheep, and yeah, that's all we want to do. And we also want to have like a release sheet thing as well, but we'll get to that later. And we can do all this in one script. We don't need to do it in several scripts, but I don't know, sometimes I like doing it this way. Carrying is true, and what I want to do is I want to do sheep dot game object. Actually, it's going to be sheep dot transform dot set parent transform. So I want to set it to be this transform, and then I want to transform to this position here. So I want to say vector3 target equals transform dot position. Float t equals 0. So again, we could use our factory, but we can't because we need to use code that we haven't generated. So we could generate the factory again here, I guess. So while t is not equal to 1, again we need a speed equals 8. So while t is equal to 1, the current is going to be vector3.lerp, and then it's going to be sheep.transform.position, and then it's going to be the new target, and then it's going to be time.delta times speed. T plus equals time.delta time divided by speed. It's just time, isn't it? And then sheep.transform.position equals current. And then here I want to do final pause equals that with that's going to be t actually, speed and that's our capture. And then we want to have public void drop and public void throw vector 3 direction speed. So we're going to drop a throw there from the tractor beam. So if we drop it, then carrying equals false, and then we want to sheep sheep, that is called sheep, right equal null, that's always very null, sheep is that, and we'll say sheep equals, sorry, this dot sheep equals sheep, so like in that, current sheep equals that, which means we don't use that. So if current sheep is not equal to null, return that. Current sheep equals null, do that at the very end, and then we want to reset everything here. So we want to reinvigorate the sheep. So we want to say current sheep dot state equals moving around. And similarly, for this one here, we want to say sheep dot sheep state equals held in tractor beam. And I think that's everything. So when we enter it there, we check to see if it's a sheep. If we don't have if it isn't a sheep, we get out. If it's not, if we have a current sheep, then we get out as well. Otherwise, we capture the sheep and we grab the sheep component from the game object of the thing that we just collided with. If we capture the sheep, then we set the current sheep to be whatever the sheep we've put in. We then change the state of the sheep to be held in a tractor beam, and then we capture the sheep, and the capture the sheep sets the parent to be that. Oh yeah, we need to reset the parent there. So we need to do current sheep dot set transform dot set parent null. We're going to reset the parent there. So and then we move to there, and then final position is that, and that says captured it. Okay. Let's see if we can capture some sheep. There we go. Oh. No, it's not moving with it. It is now. No, that didn't work. I'm not doing this one, I'm doing wrong. Tractor beam. Okay. So capture that, set the parent to be this parent. I want to do to be this parent. I don't want it to be the ground. No, I want it to be this parent here. So set it to be that. And then target equals transform dot position, and then I want to go from, that's got to be local position. I'm going to go from the local position, whatever the current local position is, to the target for time t. Okay, and then time equals time plus time dot delta time. Right. Oh, he's attached to my head. Tractor beam. The current sheet, tractor beam, and then we want the gravity gun there, and to say who was held, fire was held equals false, and we want to say who current firing equals current firing equals, oops, that if not current firing and fire was held, we want to say tractor beam dot drop for now. We just want to drop it for now. And then we want to say fire was held equals current firing. Beam right just find component in children. Children. So this will just mean that the sheet gets dropped rather brusquely. Okay, so we'll grab this guy here. Whoa, he's away. Right, well he's caught, and then we drop him, and he wanders off. Yeah, partial success. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that though, and head off to bed. yeah, I'm starting to feel it now. So I'm gonna go to bed and grab a shower, shave, feel more human. Um, well, I really am tired. I look terrible. Um, yeah, and my voice is starting to go as well, which doesn't look great. I'm gonna crow's feet. Look at that one right there. It's never that bad. Usually, it's really bad. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching. It's kind of rambling, but that's what happens. So I'm actually quite happy. Um, I think I've got quite far in the couple hours I've been at this. Um, it took me like half an hour to get the sort of basic game idea, and then a couple hours to get characters moving around and picking up. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it just now. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm so tired. I will see you guys tomorrow if you're tuning in live, and if you're not tuning in live, then I hope you enjoyed this video. So catch you guys later. Bye bye.